If all goes according to plan, Panama may soon have a bit of competition on the horizon.
Mexico's Inter-Oceanic Corridor is a groundbreaking project that could reshape global maritime trade. As the Panama Canal, a once vital artery connecting the Atlantic and Pacific, grapples with crippling droughts driven by climate change, this new corridor emerges as a potential game changer. It's not just another infrastructure project. It's a bold statement about the future of international shipping. Could this monumental venture render the Panama Canal obsolete? And what does this shift mean for the balance of global trade and geopolitics? Join us as we explore what lies ahead, as this will kill the Panama Canal. Early exploration and planning. The idea of connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans through Central America dates back to the 16th century. In 1534, Charles V, who ruled both the Holy Roman Empire and Spain, ordered a survey to find a possible canal route through the Americas. His goal was to create a faster way for ships to travel between Spain and Peru, giving Spain an edge over Portugal in military matters. Panama's narrow land bridge between the two oceans made it an attractive spot for trade routes. Over time, different groups tried to set up ways to move goods across the isthmus. One notable attempt was the Darien scheme, started by Scotland in 1698. They wanted to build an overland trade route, but the harsh environment and difficult terrain forced them to give up by April 1700. In 1788, Americans suggested to Spain that they should build the canal, as Spain controlled the colonies where it would be located. They argued this route would be safer for ships than going around the southern tip of South America. They also thought ocean currents would naturally widen the canal after it was built. Alessandro Malaspina added to these discussions during his 1788 to 1793 expedition, making detailed plans for canal construction. The late 1700s and early 1800s saw several countries start canal projects. The Erie Canal in New York, completed in the 1820s, showed what such waterways could achieve. As the Spanish Empire in Latin America weakened, Americans became more interested in building a canal between the oceans. In 1826, U.S. officials began talks with Gran Colombia, which included present-day Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Panama, to get permission for this big project. However, President Simón Bolívar and New Granada officials were wary of the powerful United States. They wanted to protect their hard-won independence and turned down American offers. After Gran Colombia broke apart, New Granada faced ongoing political instability and uncertainty. These early efforts and discussions set the stage for future attempts to build a canal, highlighting the long-standing recognition of Panama's strategic importance and the potential benefits of creating a shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Despite setbacks and challenges, the idea of a canal persisted, driven by the promise of faster trade routes and geopolitical advantages. The United States takes control. In 1904, the United States made a big move by taking over the Panama Canal project. This came after earlier attempts by other countries had failed. When the U.S. stepped in, they found a tough situation. The workforce was small, and much of the equipment and buildings left behind by the French were in bad shape. To manage this huge task, the U.S. government created a special group called the Isthmian Canal Commission. This commission was put in charge of the Panama Canal Zone, which was now under U.S. control. They reported directly to William Howard Taft, who was the Secretary of War at the time. The ICC had a clear job to avoid the problems that had caused the French attempt to fail 15 years earlier. They wanted to make sure things ran smoothly and without corruption. President Theodore Roosevelt chose John Findley Wallace to lead the project on May 6, 1904. Wallace had experience running railroads, which seemed like good preparation for this big job. But when he got to Panama, he faced many challenges. The country was struggling with diseases, and it was hard to use the old French equipment. Wallace also found it frustrating to deal with the ICC's rules and paperwork. These problems were so bad that he quit suddenly on June 1905, just a year after starting. The ICC had to act fast after Wallace left. They picked Theodore P. Shantz to be the new chairman. For the important job of chief engineer, they chose John Frank Stevens. Stevens was interesting because he had taught himself engineering and had done great work on the Great Northern Railroad. Stevens decided to do things differently. Instead of working through the ICC, he talked directly with Roosevelt's team in Washington, District of Columbia. He thought this would help get things done faster. This period marks a crucial shift in the canal's history. The United States took firm control of the project, bringing new resources and determination. They set up a management structure and brought in experienced leaders. However, they also faced significant challenges, from practical issues on the ground to administrative hurdles. The U.S. approach, with its focus on avoiding past mistakes and streamlining decision-making, set the stage for the next phase of canal construction. Engineering challenges and solutions. The Panama Canal project faced a crucial decision in 1905: how to design the canal. A panel of U.S. engineers reviewed the plans and, by a narrow vote of 8-5, recommended a sea-level canal. This design was similar to what the French had attempted earlier. However, John Frank Stevens, the new chief engineer, had a different view. He had seen firsthand how powerful the Chagres River could be during floods. Based on this experience, he strongly disagreed with the sea-level canal idea, believing it wouldn't work well in Panama's challenging environment. Instead, Stevens proposed a different approach: a canal with a system of locks. This design would lift ships up to a large reservoir, 85 feet above sea level. Stevens thought this plan was more practical and better suited to Panama's geography. His idea was ambitious. It would create the world's largest dam at the time, called the Gatun Dam, and form the largest artificial lake, Gatun Lake. The plan used gravity to move water from Gatun Lake through huge gates and valves to fill the locks. Ships would then use these water-filled locks to climb up to the lake's level, cross it, and then descend through more locks to the other ocean. This lock system design had several advantages. It required less digging than a sea-level canal, which was important given the difficult terrain. It also provided a way to manage the powerful rivers and heavy rainfall in the area. President Roosevelt found Stevens's plan convincing. He saw that it addressed many of the problems that had stopped earlier attempts to build the canal. This decision was a turning point in the project's history. The lock system design, however, still required an enormous amount of work. The team needed to dig out more than 17 million cubic yards of earth and rock, on top of the 30 million cubic yards the French had already removed. To tackle this huge task, the Americans brought in new, more powerful equipment. They replaced or upgraded the old French machinery with modern tools designed for faster, larger-scale operations. The lock system design became the foundation for the canal's construction, shaping how it would be built and how it would work for decades to come. Construction and technological advancements. The construction of the Panama Canal was a massive undertaking that showcased the technological prowess of the early 20th century. To tackle this enormous project, the United States deployed an impressive array of cutting-edge machinery. At the heart of the excavation efforts were 102 giant steam shovels mounted on railroad platforms. These powerful machines came from two main suppliers, 77 from Bucyrus Erie and 25 from the Marion Power Shovel Company. Complementing these shovels were other specialized tools like steam-powered cranes, huge hydraulic rock crushers, concrete mixers, dredging machines, and pneumatic power drills. What made this equipment special was that most of it was designed and manufactured in the United States, highlighting the country's growing expertise in machine building. This machinery allowed for faster and more efficient excavation and construction than ever before possible. The existing railroad system also needed significant upgrades to support the construction effort. Workers installed stronger, double-tracked rails along most of the route to handle the increased traffic and heavier loads. However, this task was complicated by the expanding Gatun Lake, which submerged parts of the original rail line. Engineers had to build new elevated tracks above the rising water level to ensure continuous transportation operations. The scale of the project was immense. Over 75,000 workers contributed their efforts over the years, facing challenging conditions to bring the canal to life. The financial investment was equally substantial, with the United States pouring nearly $500 million into the project, equivalent to about $15.2 billion in 2023. This combination of advanced machinery, improved infrastructure, and a large workforce allowed for unprecedented progress. The team could now move earth and rock at a rate that would have been unimaginable just a few decades earlier. The construction process also demanded innovative solutions to unique problems. For example, the creation of Gatun Lake required careful planning to manage water flow and ensure the stability of the surrounding land. The building of the locks involved precise engineering to create structures that could withstand enormous water pressure and the weight of massive ships. Throughout the construction, the team had to adapt to the challenging tropical environment, dealing with heavy rainfall, mudslides, and disease-carrying insects. The advancements in machinery and construction techniques were crucial in overcoming these obstacles. By 1914, after years of relentless effort, the Panama Canal was complete. It stood as the most extensive engineering project undertaken by the United States up to that point. Completion and impact. The completion of the Panama Canal in 1914 marked a pivotal moment in global transportation history. This engineering marvel came to fruition exactly 401 years after Vasco Núñez de Balboa and his team of conquistadores first crossed Panama, highlighting the centuries-long dream of connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. In August 15, 1914, the canal officially opened to maritime traffic. The cargo ship SS Ancon made the inaugural passage, symbolizing the beginning of a new era in international trade and naval travel. This event signaled the successful culmination of years of planning, investment, and hard work. The impact of the Panama Canal on global commerce was immediate and far-reaching. It significantly reduced the time and distance for ships traveling between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Before the canal, vessels had to make the long and perilous journey around the southern tip of South America. The new route cut thousands of miles off this journey, saving time, fuel, and money for shipping companies and their customers. As news of the canal's efficiency spread, it quickly became a crucial artery for international maritime trade. Ships from all over the world began to use this new shortcut, transforming global shipping routes and trade patterns. The canal's strategic importance also elevated Panama's role on the world stage, turning it into a key player in international commerce. The economic benefits of the canal extended far beyond Panama. Ports on both the Atlantic and Pacific coasts of North and South America saw increased activity as trade flows adjusted to take advantage of the new route. Industries that relied on imported raw materials or exported finished goods benefited from reduced transportation costs and faster delivery times. The Panama Canal also had significant military implications. It allowed the United States Navy to move ships quickly between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, greatly enhancing its strategic flexibility and response capabilities. In the years following its opening, the canal's importance continued to grow. It became an essential part of global infrastructure, facilitating the movement of goods and playing a crucial role in the expanding global economy of the 20th century. The successful completion and operation of the Panama Canal set a new standard for international engineering projects and reshaped global trade routes in ways that continue to impact our world today. Environmental challenges. The Panama Canal, despite its economic success, has faced growing environmental challenges that threaten its operations. These issues, primarily linked to deforestation and climate change, have become increasingly apparent in recent decades. As early as 1978, experts warned about the potential impact of deforestation on the canal's function. The concern was that clearing forests in the canal's watershed could seriously harm its operation. By 1985, the forested area had already shrunk to just 30% of its original size. This trend continued into the 2000s, driven by factors such as population growth, land degradation, erosion, and overhunting. Deforestation has had a direct impact on the canal's water supply. As trees are removed, the soil's ability to hold water decreases. This affects the water levels in Gatun and Alajuela lakes, which are crucial for the canal's operation. With less forest cover, rainwater runs off quickly instead of being absorbed and slowly released, leading to inconsistent water supplies. The canal has also faced pollution issues. In 1918-6, a crude oil spill near the Caribbean entrance killed plants and small animals, highlighting the vulnerability of the ecosystem to shipping-related accidents. Climate change has further complicated matters. In October 2023, the region experienced a significant drop in rainfall, with levels plummeting by 41% compared to normal. This drought caused water levels in Gatun Lake, the main water source for the canal, to fall by nearly 6 feet. Such extreme weather events, likely influenced by climate change, pose a serious threat to the canal's reliable operation. The 2016 expansion of the canal, while boosting its capacity, has also increased environmental risks. The larger locks allow for bigger ships, which in turn raises the threat of invasive species. These non-native organisms can travel on ship hulls or in ballast water, potentially disrupting the local ecosystem if introduced. Another concerning trend is the gradual increase in the salinity of the lake water. This change in water chemistry could affect the delicate balance of the freshwater ecosystem that the canal depends on. Recent crisis and economic implications. The Panama Canal is currently facing a severe crisis that has significant economic implications worldwide. The root of this crisis lies in the insufficient water supply needed to operate the canal efficiently, primarily due to prolonged drought conditions. As a result of these water shortages, canal authorities have been forced to implement drastic measures. The most notable change is the reduction in the number of ships allowed to pass through the canal each day. From a typical capacity of 36 vessels per day, the canal now only permits 18 ships to transit. This 50% reduction in traffic has created a bottleneck in one of the world's most crucial maritime routes. The consequences of this restriction are far-reaching. At the entrance of the Panama Canal, a queue of ships has formed, with some vessels facing delays of up to 18 days. This wait time is unprecedented and poses significant challenges for global shipping schedules and supply chains. Shipping companies are now forced to make difficult decisions. Some are choosing to wait their turn, accepting the delays and the associated costs. Others are considering alternative routes, such as the longer and more treacherous journey around Cape Horn at the southern tip of South America. This option, while avoiding the canal delays, comes with its own set of risks and increased fuel costs. To manage the reduced capacity, the canal authorities have implemented a new system. Ships must now secure passage slots months in advance or pay additional fees for expedited passage. This change has introduced a new level of complexity and cost to global shipping logistics. The financial impact of these changes is substantial. Recently, a Japanese ship paid an extraordinary $3.98 million for expedited passage through the canal, on top of the standard fee. This example illustrates the lengths to which some companies are willing to go to avoid lengthy delays. The crisis is not just affecting shipping companies. Experts warn that these increased transportation costs have the potential to disrupt global supply chains and trigger price hikes for a wide range of goods. As ships take longer to deliver their cargo or choose more expensive routes, these additional costs are likely to be passed on to consumers. As the crisis continues, governments, shipping companies, and economists are closely monitoring the situation, seeking solutions to mitigate the impact and exploring alternative strategies to maintain the flow of global trade. Mexico's Inter-Oceanic Corridor Project. As the Panama Canal grapples with its water crisis, Mexico has seized an opportunity to revitalize its own century-old trade route. The Mexican government has committed over $4.5 billion to breathe new life into a railway line that connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans across the country's southern region. This ambitious project, known as the Inter-Oceanic Corridor of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, aims to enhance Mexico's role in global commerce. The corridor spans 300 kilometers through southern Mexico, utilizing existing historic rail tracks while also developing new infrastructure. The project's scope extends beyond just upgrading the railway. It includes the construction of new roads, airports, and industrial parks at key points along the route. This comprehensive approach is designed to stimulate economic growth in southern Mexico, while offering an alternative to the Panama Canal for some shipping routes. The corridor's history dates back to the 1800s, when President Porfirio Diaz envisioned connecting Veracruz on the Atlantic coast with Mexico's southern Pacific coast. This vision led to the construction of a railway and the establishment of two key ports, Port Coatzacoalcos on the Atlantic and Port Salina Cruz on the Pacific. The railway was officially opened in 1907 and initially saw significant success. In its first 6 years of operation, it transported over 850,000 tons of cargo between the two oceans. This success brought economic prosperity to the surrounding regions, transforming small villages into thriving economic centers. However, the corridor's popularity declined dramatically with the outbreak of civil war in Mexico and the subsequent opening of the Panama Canal. Ships began to prefer the Panama route due to its perceived safety and efficiency, leading to a sharp decrease in traffic on the Mexican railway. Now, more than a century later, Mexico sees an opportunity to revive this historic route. The current plan envisions a seamless transition from ship to rail and back to ship, potentially offering a viable alternative for some shipping routes. While Mexican officials stress that they're not trying to compete directly with the Panama Canal during its water crisis, the timing of this project is significant. It offers a potential backup option for some shipping companies facing delays or restrictions at the Panama Canal. The revival of this corridor represents Mexico's ambition to play a larger role in global trade. By leveraging its geographic position between two oceans, Mexico aims to create new economic opportunities and potentially reshape some international shipping routes. As this project progresses, it will be interesting to see how it impacts regional trade patterns and whether it can establish itself as a complementary option to the Panama Canal in the global shipping network. Corridor infrastructure and logistics. The Inter-Oceanic Corridor Project in Mexico involves a comprehensive overhaul of existing infrastructure and the development of new facilities to create an efficient trade route. At its core, the project aims to modernize and expand two key ports, Salina Cruz on the Pacific coast and Coatzacoalcos on the Atlantic side. The logistics of the corridor are designed to be straightforward yet effective. Ships arriving at either port will have their cargo unloaded and transferred onto a network of rails spanning 303 kilometers. This rail journey across the isthmus is expected to take just over 6 hours, significantly reducing transit time compared to traditional sea routes. To achieve this efficiency, the project includes substantial upgrades to the existing rail infrastructure. The rehabilitation efforts focus on 3 main railway lines: Line Z, Line F, and Line K. Of these, Line Z is particularly crucial as it serves as the sole connection between the ports of Salina Cruz and Coatzacoalcos. These enhancements are expected to dramatically increase the speed of cargo trains from 20 kilometers per hour to 70 kilometers per hour. Passenger trains using the same infrastructure may reach speeds of up to 80 kilometers per hour, improving both freight and potential passenger services. At Salina Cruz Port, construction plans include the development of a long breakwater and a wide-mouth port capable of accommodating larger vessels. This expansion will allow the port to handle increased traffic and larger ships, enhancing its capacity and efficiency. Coatzacoalcos Port is also undergoing significant changes with the construction of a new highway access to improve connectivity. These upgrades, combined with the integration of cutting-edge technology at both ports, aim to streamline the offloading and reloading processes, minimizing wait times and enhancing overall transit efficiency. Beyond the ports and railway, the project encompasses the strategic positioning of 10 industrial parks along the corridor's route. These parks are designed to attract investments and foster job creation in the region. Additionally, the plan includes the establishment of 3 new airports and the expansion of highways, further enhancing the area's connectivity and economic potential. Once completed, the Corridor Interoceánico del Istmo de Tehuantepec is projected to handle up to 300,000 cargo containers annually in its initial phase. Estimates suggest that by 2033, this capacity could increase to approximately 1.4 million containers per year. This ambitious infrastructure project represents a significant investment in Mexico's future as a key player in global trade. By upgrading and expanding its transportation network, Mexico aims to create a more efficient and attractive route for international shipping, potentially reshaping trade flows in the region and offering new economic opportunities for its southern states. Comparative analysis of the Panama Canal. While Mexico's Interoceanic Corridor Project is ambitious, it's important to compare it realistically with the Panama Canal to understand its potential impact on global shipping. Despite its current challenges, the Panama Canal remains a critical global maritime route that operates around the clock. Its established position in international shipping makes it difficult for any new alternative to replace its role completely. The canal's ability to handle large volumes of traffic and its efficiency in moving ships between oceans have made it an integral part of global trade for over a century. In terms of capacity, the difference is stark. The Isthmus of Tehuantepec project in Mexico is expected to handle more than 300,000 cargo containers annually between its 2 ports. While this is a significant number, it pales in comparison to the Panama Canal's capability. The Panama Canal transports an average of 4 million containers per year, more than 13 times the projected capacity of the Mexican route. This vast difference in capacity suggests that the Mexican corridor is unlikely to pose a direct threat to the Panama Canal's dominance in global shipping. Instead, industry experts view the Mexican project as a potential complementary route rather than a competitor. The Mexican corridor could serve as a valuable backup option, helping to alleviate some of the shipping burdens from the Panama Canal. This role could become particularly important during times when the Panama Canal faces challenges, such as the current water crisis or during maintenance periods. Additionally, the Mexican route might be more attractive for certain types of shipments, especially those originating from or destined for locations closer to Mexico. It could offer a faster alternative for some regional trade routes, particularly those connecting the southern United States, Mexico, and Central America. However, for long-distance international shipping, particularly for larger vessels, the Panama Canal is likely to remain the preferred option due to its ability to accommodate bigger ships and its established infrastructure. The development of the Mexican corridor highlights a growing trend in global trade: the need for diverse shipping options. As world trade continues to grow and face various challenges, having alternative routes becomes increasingly important. This diversification can help reduce bottlenecks, provide options during crises, and potentially lower shipping costs through increased competition. Challenges facing the Mexican corridor. While the Interoceanic Corridor Project in Mexico holds promise, it faces several significant challenges that could impact its success. These challenges range from safety concerns to infrastructure limitations and resource scarcity. One of the primary issues is the inadequate infrastructure in southern Mexico. The existing roads, railways, and facilities in the region are not up to the standards required for a major international trade route. Upgrading this infrastructure to meet global shipping needs will require substantial investment and time. Safety is another major concern. The southern regions of Mexico have historically struggled with higher crime rates compared to other parts of the country. Ensuring the security of cargo, personnel, and facilities along the corridor will be crucial for gaining the trust of international shipping companies and investors. Perhaps the most pressing challenge is the availability of natural gas, which is essential for powering the industrial activities planned along the corridor. The project is estimated to require about 11.3 billion cubic feet of natural gas, representing a massive 120% increase in national hydrocarbon distribution. Additionally, to support the envisioned industrial activities, an extra 20 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day will be needed, far exceeding the current daily supply of 9 billion cubic feet. This natural gas shortage is particularly problematic because Mexico imports most of its supply, primarily from the United States. The state-owned company Pemex has struggled to increase domestic gas production, making it difficult to meet the corridor's energy needs without significant changes in energy policy or major investments in gas infrastructure. The Mexican Institute for Competitiveness has pointed out that a larger natural gas supply is crucial for Mexico to fully benefit from recent economic trends like nearshoring. Despite a 50% increase in Mexico's gas pipeline network between 2011 and 2022, it still falls short in meeting the demands of the southern and southeastern regions where the corridor is being developed. Another challenge is the lack of qualified personnel in the region. The project will require a skilled workforce for both construction and operation, which may not be readily available in southern Mexico. This highlights the need for investment in education and training programs to develop the necessary human capital. The corridor also faces the challenge of attracting sufficient international interest. As of late 2023, major shipping companies have shown limited enthusiasm for the project. This hesitancy stems from uncertainties about the route's reliability and efficiency compared to established alternatives like the Panama Canal. Overcoming these challenges will require sustained effort, significant investment, and strategic planning from the Mexican government and private sector partners. The success of the Inter-Oceanic Corridor will depend on how effectively these issues are addressed in the coming years. Economic and industrial implications. The economic and industrial implications of Mexico's Inter-Oceanic Corridor present a complex scenario. Benjamin Alemán, a former director of the Regulatory Agency of Railway Transportation in Mexico, raises concerns about the corridor's current infrastructure, which may not be strong enough to attract large ships. This limitation suggests that only smaller vessels might use the corridor, potentially limiting its impact on global trade. However, its strategic location near Asia and the American East Coast could offer an advantage, positioning it as a valuable trade route within the Americas. Despite these potential benefits, there is a notable lack of enthusiasm from international shipping companies. A report by the Financial Times on October 16, 2023, highlighted the hesitation among industry players. For instance, an executive from Unique Logistics pointed out that importers often view new trade routes with skepticism, uncertain about their reliability due to unfamiliarity. This wariness reflects the broader industry's cautious approach to adopting alternative routes. Lars Østergaard Nielsen, an executive at AP Møller-Mærsk, one of the world's largest container shipping companies, offered a conditional endorsement. He suggested that the corridor could be beneficial if there were a significant increase in manufacturing activity in southern Mexico. However, without such industrial growth, the demand for the corridor might remain limited. The projected capacity of the corridor's initial phase underscores these concerns. It is expected to transport up to 1.14 million 20-foot equivalent units annually, with forecasts suggesting it could reach 1.3 million TEUs by 2036. These figures, however, are dwarfed by the Panama Canal's 10.9 million TEUs transported in 2022. The disparity highlights the challenges the corridor faces in becoming a major player in global shipping. Building the necessary infrastructure to support the corridor's ambitions will require significant time and financial investment. The report emphasizes that such a large-scale project carries substantial risks, making it a potentially precarious economic venture. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.